there continue to be public safety fears ahead of the World Cup. Of course, I think there's always been a level of public safety concern in Seattle, but you have a police force that is depleted. 700 officers down. Now they've got to deal with tens of thousands of fans and also the existing public safety crises that they're already having a hard time responding to. This segment is brought to you in partnership with our friends at Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org. Make sure you sign up for their newsletter to be alerted to opportunities to get involved in saving this state we love. All right, we talked about all the unprovoked attacks that have been happening in areas of downtown. I mean, the elderly man who was attacked for no reason at 3rd and Pine, just blocks away from Pike Place Market, where there's going to be a lot of tourists, and there already is a lot of tourists. There was also the man brutally beaten with a hammer for no reason, the Seattle runner on the waterfront, et cetera, et cetera. There's been a lot of disturbing stuff. And, I think when you get those violent, unprovoked attacks, a lot of times you're dealing with mental health issues or drug-induced mental health issues. But there's been way more than normal. We might have those one-off once a month, a couple times a month, but it was like one after another after another. Over the weekend on Sundays with Subscribers, we had an interview about the case involving the homeless man who in North Seattle, Joshua Kowalewski, he pleaded not guilty to charges of rape and kidnapping. He's the guy who lured, allegedly, that 15-year-old girl into the woods by a bus stop and then sexually assaulted her. And the Seattle Times just felt like they should leave out the fact that he's homeless, which I thought was super strange. But one of the things that stands out about his case, and it's true for a lot of these individuals who commit these violent random attacks, is he's got a long criminal history. He's drug addicted, right? He's homeless. So those are also two consistent things with a lot of these violent, unprovoked attacks. And there were a lot of opportunities where he had some sort of criminal justice, what do they call them? They're criminally justice involved individuals. He had some sort of involvement in the criminal justice system where any well-functioning system would say, hey, you're addicted to drugs. That's probably why you're doing a lot of this stuff. We need to mandate that you get treatment or you're going to jail. But in Seattle, they don't do this. So we were contacted by his ex-girlfriend, longtime ex-girlfriend. She didn't want to use her name. She wanted us to blur her face, but she wanted to come forward and speak out about this case and just this larger issue. I mean, he beat her on multiple occasions. She was a domestic violence victim. She decided to stand up for herself. She called the police. She went to court. She did all of these things to try to make the case stick against him in a way where he'd spend some actual time in jail or be forced into treatment. But none of that really ever happened. And it's something that was frustrating and horrifying for her at the time, but especially in light of what he's now accused of doing.
What was his punishment?
Like a few days in jail. He had to do DV classes. I don't think he ever done them. I think that's why he still had the warrant out for the assault DV. Yeah, that was about it.
So, a prosecutor said and police said in the court documents, they go through his criminal history and that he's had dozens of warrants. He had active warrants at the time that he's accused of raping this young girl. He'd just gotten sort of a deferred kind of sweetheart sentence on a drug thing in Seattle. What should that tell people about sort of the criminal justice system?
So that's funny because in my case, my advocate, she's amazing. Tiffany Crucy, she works for Linwood Police Department. She's an amazing advocate. I love her. She tried to sit down and tell me, she's like, it's not in our hands. It's the court's hands. And these are all misdemeanors. And he's not, it doesn't matter how many he does until, I don't know. It's frustrating, to be honest. It's just how many times he can get away. Yeah, they're misdemeanors, but one was an assault. In his juvenile record, he's had assault.
Did they at least try to connect him or mandate treatment or anything like that?
I assume they would. I assume they did, but I don't think he ever did it. They let him out and like, okay, you have to do this by this certain date, and then he doesn't do it, and then he gets in trouble again. So there's not, I don't think he ever did any of that stuff.
Yeah, so it's like, what's the point? You're going to mandate these things. He doesn't do it. He continues to get in trouble. And then 2 weeks before this attack, the Seattle socialist prosecutor gives him a sweetheart deal where, it's like, oh, a deferment. It's like, dude, he has active warrants out. he hasn't committed or completed all these things he's supposed to complete. Why are you giving him a plea deal at all? Why are you giving him a deferment to avoid punishment? That makes literally no sense. So you have this environment, of course, and look, I'm only tying this to the World Cup because there's going to be a lot of eyes on the city. And I think it's just going to highlight some of the existing problems. But I care about public safety all the time. We care about these issues all the time. It's like why we talk about them so much on the show. But the reality is that during the World Cup, you have this huge, a potential terror target where you could have mass casualty events. And that's a huge level of planning. And you have the Seattle Police Department that they're going to need to be at the stadium, around the stadium. You have mutual aid. You have federal law enforcement that are going to come in. But you already have a city where you have so few officers that they can hardly respond to life or death and emergencies in an appropriate amount of time. So we had on the new president of the Seattle Police Union, Kent Liu, on the show on Sunday. And he talked about, how all of these changes to criminal justice reform have hurt the ability of officers on a regular day to deal with criminals, let alone during the World Cup.
Let's say I don't have enough for a felony level. Let's say I don't have, you're not distributing it, you're not selling it, right? You're not moving it. I see you with a pill in your hand and you're smoking it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I have simple possession. For a little while, we lost simple possession because there was a court case out of Spokane.
Yeah.
Right. So we always kind of had these battles. Now I go and I make this arrest and I go to jail and they're going to say I swallowed dope.
Yeah.
Or they're going to say I was raped. Right. So now we have an issue with King County Health Services, who's in charge of the nursing and staff at the jail, who are coming up with these protocols. So now I've got to take this person to the hospital for 6 to 8 hours, or at least like a 6-hour observation if they said they swallowed dope.
Yeah.
If I'm understaffed, let's say I'm at minimums, how do I put resources at 3rd and Pine, 3rd and Pike, at 12 and Jackson, and conduct arrests to a jail system with King County, running by King County Health Services? That is the problem, right? And quite frankly, I mean, this goes back to Dow Constantine as a King County executor, believe it or not, because he modified all the King County inquest processes. Yeah. So our county operates like no other county in the entire country. That now King County Jail, they can't take any chances of an in custody death.
Yeah.
Because because now it is an inquest hearing, and that's costing the taxpayers millions of dollars.
Completely untenable. We'll never be able to dig ourselves out of the hole. Do you feel confident that, and look, I care about public safety all the time. I think it's a little sad that it's like all before the All-Star game and before the World Cup, but there's going to be a lot of people here. Do you feel confident that the city is equipped to keep them safe?
I feel confident with our ability and our staffing for the World Cup, for the event, for the stadium, for that itself.
Okay.
Some of the other areas of the city are dangerous and prone to violence. And unfortunately, like that one video that circulated with the elderly man on 3rd Avenue, that is truly unprovoked. That is probably the scariest of all situations. You hear a lot of attacks, you see a lot of victims doing this work, and sometimes you don't see the whole picture. Yeah. Right? They hit me, I hit them, and you're thinking, well, maybe something. I'm not seeing a part of this. Yeah. Right, of how maybe this started. You look at that video and it's horrendous because it truly is an unprovoked attack. This guy just got off the bus, 77-year-old man, and that's horrific. So I do have some areas of concern and resources being spread thin because the focus is going to be on the event, the watch parties, the stadium, and things like that. So patrol's going to be out there. They're going to be vigilant, and we will be responding to things. But, unfortunately, there's still people roaming the streets that are dangerous, that probably should be in custody, that should remain in jail. But prosecutors aren't maybe filing charges, or judges are releasing people. And that's a huge concern.
Yeah, but according to Governor Bob Ferguson, Seattle's a world-class city. He says last week, oh, okay, no problems then. It's a world-class city. And, of course, they're going to give people the little path to walk on like they did during the MLB All-Star game, where it's like gets you from Pike Place Market down to the stadium, and then they'll keep that path as clear and as clean as possible and better patrolled. But it's all lipstick on a pig. And I want everything to go well, of course, and I don't want there to be anything violent and horrible, but to act as if that's not a possibility, like some of our elected leaders are doing, is absolutely asinine. It really is. If you want to watch that full interview with not only the former girlfriend of that rape suspect, but also the Seattle Police Union president, Kent Liu, you can sign up to become a subscriber. Sundays with subscribers, we do in-depth interviews on topics of interest every week. Go to undividedpod.com, click on the link, and you can still use that USA 30 promo. So that's pretty cool.